Now you guys can hear me. In a world. No, I did not do the dance moves myself. All right. What's up? So, yeah. I saw some people were like triggered about how the themes for these shows are like all spacey and has the globe and stuff. There's no way I'm still muted. But that's the whole point. Okay, so just so you guys kind of know the show formats, this one I guess is going to be relatively speaking. It was going to be relatively simple, but we're going to cover more of the idea of heliocentrism in this show. Hence relatively, a play on that. And so we're going to cover some basic things each week about relativity, heliocentrism, the evidence against it. So it won't be about, is the Earth a plane or not? It will be about, is the Earth in the center stationary or not? So we'll cover stuff like that, basic logic. And today will be a little different, but going forward, the idea is to open the mic up to maybe via Discord to heliocentric proponents, see if they can come on and defend what was covered in that show. Same thing for Schooling the Globers. We'll cover a certain thing relative to Flat Earth, and then we'll open up the line. So it'll be some like live interaction, because I know that's pretty entertaining and a lot of people are asking for it. So that will be Mondays tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, and then Wednesdays, Schooling the Globers, 9 p.m. Eastern, and then Fridays we have In the Field, where we talk to different people with credentials, professionals, quote-unquote experts, and that will, of course, be 9 p.m. Eastern as well. And this Friday, I think that we are supposed to have on a PhD astronomer who is a professor and runs an observatory. Okay, cool. So now that you kind of guys kind of know the gist, I'm going to go ahead. I put together a little presentation. We're going to cover some basic logic real quick. And then we're going to cover a little bit about relativity. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you may know some of the stuff that we cover. And the shows will only get better. Okay, cool. And heads up, I think I have it set to where if someone donates more than $20, so like $19.99 or more, then they read it out loud. So we'll see how that goes. Trial run. So many people, hilarious enough, asked me to bring that back. All right, without further ado, let's get into the presentation and teach some logic. We in a field, bruh. Crush on. Wes, FE, thank you for the $10 super chat. Oh, while we're at it, shout out to the legend in Rockfin. And FE Viking, thank you for the $10 tip in Rockfin, brother. Much love. I haven't figured out how to get those linked into the notifications, but there's Wes right there, popped up with some goofy little planets. All right. Let's cover some logic. Boom. What a transition. Exploring logic. Logic is the study of reasoning and argument. It helps us make sense of the world by evaluating the validity and soundness of arguments. In this presentation, we'll explore the core tenets of logic and some of the most common fallacies. Oh no. What is logic? Balance. Logic is about finding the balance between reason and belief. It helps us weigh arguments objectively. Analytical thinking. It's a method of thinking that allows us to analyze complex problems and make decisions based on evidence rather than intuition or religious belief. Logical reasoning. It provides a systematic approach to reasoning that enables us to draw valid conclusions and identify faulty reasoning. Very important. If anyone's seen any of my debates, people say I just say fallacies because logical fallacies are of the utmost importance if you are intending to draw any type of logical conclusion, obviously. All right, so here are some commonly used fallacies, certainly in this realm. You have a strawman fallacy, when someone misrepresents an argument to make it easier to attack and refute. Okay, appeal to consensus is when someone argues that because a large group believes something, it must be true. The red herring fallacy, when someone raises an irrelevant issue to divert attention from the subject at hand. These are important. Appeal to authority, when someone argues that a claim must be true because an authority figure or an expert, quote unquote, says it is true. Wojo, thank you for the $20 super chat. Thanks for making it a flat rate for text to voice. Sorry for the bad joke. I didn't hear it, so I don't know if it's working. So I feel bad. I feel like I just got you $20. I didn't hear it. I don't think you'll hear it unless it's, maybe you guys heard it. I don't know. Sorry. I don't know why it didn't work. I can check it on in a second. All right. Appeal to authority, we just covered that. Appeal to emotion is when someone manipulates the emotion of a recipient or the audience in an attempt to win an argument, especially in the absence of factual evidence. If anyone's seen any of my debates, these fallacies right here are just incessantly used. It's very important that you learn these, not just for this discussion, not just for debate, just for life. Credentials fallacy, when someone argues that something cannot be true because the source of the argument does not have certain credentials or qualifications. All right. Strawman. So, assuming intention, strawman arguments are considered one of the most intellectually dishonest fallacies. Misrepresenting the other party's argument so that it is easier to pick apart is fundamentally fallacious. This tactic is of no true intellectual value and is only valuable in the implementation of sophistry, which is the use of fallacious arguments with the intention to deceive. Simply claiming someone said or claimed something they did not in order to show the flaws in that argument holds no weight in intellectual forum. We see this in this forum all the time. Of course, we see people constantly saying, oh, you're saying, oh, if the earth is flat, you think that the sun would light up the entire earth. You think things can fall off the edge. You think if the earth was flat, this would happen. Your position is this. It's called a strawman fallacy. It's easier, of course, to, rebut someone's position when you get to make it up and make it stupid. When you do this intentionally, it is incredibly deceptive and dishonest. In fact, someone that repeatedly strawmans you, you should consider disengaging with them. They've shown themselves to have no intellectual honesty. And it's honestly one of the most remedial, incompetent fallacies that exist. Yet, in this conversation, it's probably the most popular. All right, appeal to consensus, also referred to as an appeal to the majority or population. This fallacy holds no value in determining what is true or sound conclusion. The consensus position has consistently been shown to be incorrect. The fact that the majority of people hold a particular position has no bearing on the accuracy of that position. Even within the current heliocentric model, everyone used to laugh at Einstein, say he was crazy, and hold the idea that light propagated through an ether. There was a fixed frame of reference back in the day. Everyone thought that the earth was flat. Back in the day, people thought the earth was a ball, allegedly, but thought it was stationary. So within the heliocentric fairy tale paradigm that is modern consensus, consensus has been wrong the whole way. Just like when the atomic model's been updated 6 times, or the distance of the sun's been updated 10 times or so, right? Just because a whole bunch of people agree to something and that's the current consensus, by no stretch it means that it's correct. In fact, you can almost rest assured that it isn't correct, as scientific consensus has almost never been correct, and it's almost guaranteed to be incomplete, best case scenario. So handing your thinking over to the idea of what most people think is insane, even if it goes as far as something moral, right, regarding slavery. If majority of people thought slavery was morally okay, was it morally okay to actually take someone against their will and beat them to death? Of course not, right? What everyone thinks doesn't matter. Very basic but popular not intended fallacy, right? People, that's why I say the weak find contentment in the consensus of ignorance. It is the easy way out. All right. Next, red herring fallacy. One of the most common types of red herring fallacies is the use of an argument that, on the surface, can appear to hold relevance to the subject in dispute, yet it is in fact an attempt to avoid the actual argument being made. Obfuscation from the point at hand entirely removes the possibility of a sound conclusion being drawn. I wanted to make sure I clarified some of these, especially this one, because, of course, when you read the definition of a red herring fallacy, some of them don't go into much detail, and you think, oh, well, you're talking to someone about the sun, then all of a sudden they bring up earthquakes. It's not always that blatant, right? They can bring up something about the sun that only appears to be relevant because it's about the sun, but it's completely an attempt to avoid the point being made. Usually this is done when you're getting to the point where they're going to have to concede. When someone's at that point of the discussion where their point has been proven to be incorrect, demonstrated to be false, and they need to concede, they pull out a red herring fallacy, pretending to like on the illusion of the surface, it's like it's relevant. And actually, a lot of times they don't even do this. They just blatantly change the subject. Certainly in this discussion as to challenging the true nature of the earth and is it the current consensus model, like we see this all the time. Every debate I'm in. When the conclusion gets to the point, it's either, like say if you're in Discord, people just stop responding, literally. They just don't respond. They just go quiet until something else is talked about. And in the debates on like MDD, they just blatantly change the subject. If you cannot concede when you're wrong, if you change the subject to use strawmans and red herrings, that's just dishonest. That's intentionally being deceptive. Okay. Appeal to authority. Arguing that a claim must be true because a perceived authority figure or expert says so is fundamentally illogical. Experts have consistently been wrong about major aspects of their fields throughout all of history. Empirical evidence is the determining factor as to whether something is true, not the opinion of someone in a lab coat. And just to make sure that everyone should already know this, of course, but again, within the heliocentric paradigm, this idea of this little planet that just went by the screen, right? In this little like heliocentric universe paradigm that we're currently in, they've been wrong the whole time. So the entire consensus was like, oh, well, like relativity represents what happens in the sky. And then it's like, oh, never mind, it was off its mass prediction by 99% in 1933. Well, everyone there thought relativity was just amazing. Oh, look at it. It does the math for Mercury. It's so great. Doesn't work. Then you go to 1955, I believe it is, and it's the galaxies are spinning at the same speed on the outside as they are on the inside, right? But they should not be. They should be slightly behind them. So this would violate the law, one of Newton's laws of motion, and the current understanding of gravity at the time. Both of these were fixed with dark matter. The point is that tons of people thought relativity worked good. They never thought anything about dark matter. And this happens with everything. And people will say, well, that's how science works. We have new discoveries. Yeah, that's the point. So like, just because the current consensus inside of a field is a certain thing, that doesn't mean that it's true. And something isn't true just because someone says it, right? Like, you can bring up what people say if they are authorities in the field to show like, okay, if you disagree with this, why? Well, like this is what the evidence they're claiming is, what it's built upon. Let's talk about that. This is, it's good to bring them in to show like, the perceived authority's line of reasoning, right? Certainly when you're doing stuff like discussing or debating the nature of the earth and regarding like the current model, because people misrepresent it. And anyway, the fact that authority says something doesn't make it true. That's stupid. So, all right, cool. I'm glad we got that covered. One of the dumbest fallacies right here. One of the most, you think you're smarter than all the scientists. Oh, the scientists don't say this. Oh, da-da-da-da. Scientists have been wrong about their field of study throughout all of history. So, you think today is just the exception? Okay, appeal to emotion, another frequently used tactic in this debate. Emotional manipulation in an attempt to win an argument is entirely void of logic. In fact, it is well known that emotion oftentimes overrides logic. Examples: My dad worked at NASA. Are you saying my dad's a liar? Or if we were wrong about the nature of Earth, society would collapse as we know it. Common tactics include gaslighting and virtue signaling in place of factual, empirical evidence and logically solid argumentation. This happens all the time in all kinds of realms of discussion. Appeal to the emotion of the audience or the person that you're just having a discussion with. Get this big, hyperbolic, exaggerated emotional spill that, hopefully everyone, that the arguments gets lost in emotion. This happens all the time in these discussions as well. It's just fallacious. And credentials fallacy. Claiming someone's argument must be wrong because they do not have a particular set of credentials or qualifications is also entirely void of logic. Nikola Tesla was correct when he told people about the AC generator, despite people insisting he was wrong. Nikola Tesla dropped out of college, yet went on to prove himself correct and successfully invent the AC generator. Credentials have no bearing on the validity or accuracy of an argument. Logic and evidence are the determining factors of validity. I get this one all the time. If you've seen any of my debates, you think you're smarter than all the physicists. You're not qualified. I've debated that PhD seismologist. You aren't qualified to talk about this. You don't have the credentials to talk about seismology. You don't have the credentials to talk about physics. You don't have the credentials to talk about geology. You don't have the credentials to talk about astronomy or astrophysics. You don't have the credentials to talk about biology. You don't have the credentials to question germ theory. So this is just a gaslighting tactic, effectively, but that doesn't mean anything. A piece of paper doesn't somehow mean that you're able to come to the right conclusion. It doesn't somehow make your conclusion correct. 1,000 people with the same exact credentials disagree on many things. I may hold a position that's the same as someone who has credentials. Whether or not someone has credentials is not true. Your argument cannot be true because you don't have the proper credentials is called a credentials fallacy. So here's a few more commonly used fallacies. The all or nothing fallacy is when someone assumes that a position is either true or false, absolute or nothing in between. One of the most common ones is like the black and white version of this, where you say, okay, you're misrepresenting the globe model or the heliocentric model. Let's go straight to the source of, say, for example, Einstein, who wrote relativity, because you don't seem to understand it. This is what it actually says. When they say Newton and Einstein are the same, it's like, no, they're fundamentally not. They're different. You go show, like, look, here's Einstein specifically explaining that. They're like, he thought the Earth was a globe. He thought the Earth was revolving the sun. As if the dichotomy is somehow either you have to believe everything that Einstein says or you can't invoke him at all. And the truth is, that was just a hostile witness in that scenario, right? This is a very rudimentary fallacy. It's used a lot. You can't invoke any type of evidence unless you agree with everything that source says about the topic you're debating. Meaning, if you're talking about the Earth, but you bring up something specific to surface wave anomalies in seismology, so you cite a seismologist, you don't have to have the same cosmology as the seismologist to show that there are surface wave anomalies in seismology. And here is the papers and the evidence to show that. Oh, well, they think the Earth's a globe. They think the Earth is spinning. None of that matters. So that's a frequently used all or nothing fallacy, but basically a false dichotomy. It's also referred to as black and white, false dilemma, etc. All right. Begging the question. One of, if not the most popular fallacy in this arena. This fallacy occurs when one assumes in their premise what they are trying to prove. And we will briefly get into this in a second. With many anti-flat earthers that love heliocentrism for whatever reason, pretending that they have evidence the Earth revolves around the sun. If I say, if the Earth were a sphere, then gravity would have to be pulling the atmosphere down, making it curve, adhering to the exterior of this sphere in a vacuum. Therefore, the gas pressure must be curving around a ball in a vacuum, and gravity must be causing it. That's begging the question. If you assume the Earth's a sphere to go prove the Earth's a sphere, if you assume the Earth is tilted, wobbling, spinning, revolving, to prove that it's tilted, wobbling, spinning, revolving, that's a fallacy. It's a very rudimentary fallacy. You could do this with anything. If I assume unicorns are actually invisible and can morph into desks, and then I say, in fact, what they do is they get dust on them because they're actually electromagnetic gravitational lensing of their horns, and the unicorn fairy dust that comes off of their horns causes a gravitational lensing effect that pulls dust to them once they morph into desks. Look, here's a desk with dust on it. That's obviously pretty stupid. It's extreme to make the point. The next one, shifting the burden of proof. When someone asks others to prove him wrong, rather than offering evidence to support his own position, they are shifting the burden of proof. This is a very, very popular one. Let me come full screen real fast. Shifting the burden of proof fallacy. An example would be people think that there are all these pictures from outer space, and so they're like, this person went and took pictures of Jupiter, or this satellite took pictures of Jupiter, and they're like crazy looking pictures. They look like cartoonish or whatever. And so you're like, I don't think I buy that. They say, prove it's fake. That's called a shifting the burden of proof fallacy, right? Like, they're making the positive claim that something went out into a vacuum millions of miles away and sent back pictures, and I don't believe it. I don't have a burden of proof. So basically, the shifting the burden of proof is when the person that makes the positive claim attempts to put the burden on the person denying or challenging the positive assertion. This is done all the time, and I just gave a perfect example of it. That's just fundamentally dumb. Like, proof Santa Claus doesn't exist. Prove those unicorns that turn into desks don't exist. You don't prove that something doesn't exist. If I showed you a video of Sasquatch and it's actually my buddy dressed up like Sasquatch running through the woods, would you thus have to believe it because I showed you a video until you could prove it was fake and that was a guy in a suit? If you couldn't prove it, then it was true. You know, you have to prove it's a guy in a suit for it not to be true. It's not how it works. You have to offer substantial evidence, like sufficient evidence that's empirical, meaning testable, observable, verifiable, repeatable, falsifiable, to verify your claim. Okay. I'm glad we got that covered. All right. How to spot fallacies. Examine arguments carefully, pay close attention to what the speaker or author is saying, and ask yourself if the argument makes sense. Think critically. Ask yourself questions like, what is being assumed? Very important one here. Are there any gaps in the argument? Is the evidence credible? Specifically, it should be empirical, meaning verifiable. So it's observable and testable, repeatable, falsifiable. Study logical fallacies. By familiarizing yourself with common fallacies, you'll be better prepared to spot them when they arise. This provides major advantage in terms of discernment and defending your position. And for sure, if you can just equip yourself with a basic understanding of logical fallacies, you will be able to, quote unquote, win almost 99% of debates that you could get into, because the world is just completely devoid of logic nowadays. Why understanding logic is important. Good decision making. Being able to think logically and identify fallacies is essential for making informed decisions, as is, of course, maintaining composure and not getting too emotional, as emotion overrides logic. As when you're scared, you're likely to make bad decisions. Like when people get scared, they load the wrong ammo in their gun. Number 2, better communication. Understanding logic allows you to communicate more effectively and make sure your arguments are strong. Number 3, better problem solving. Logic helps you approach complex problems systematically, making it easier to find solutions. It is the most important process of making decisions. Common misunderstanding is that logic is inflexible. Logic is adaptable and can be applied in many different ways. There are many different techniques and styles which can be used depending on the situation. Proper application requires good faith and context. Pretty self-explanatory. That was actually number 2. Number 1, we'll go backwards. Logic is boring. Again, these are common misunderstandings. Learning about logic can be fascinating, and it opens up new ways of thinking about the word, ensuring more sound understanding and conclusions. When you just hear some of them read off, it sounds kind of boring. But when you really start to think about it and then you put it into practice, you start having everyday conversations, or you hear like just a debate at Thanksgiving about politics that are fake. You'll begin to notice like, wow, I'm spotting all these fallacies. You immediately know when people are wrong, when their argument is wrong. Now, that doesn't mean their conclusion's wrong, but they didn't come to it in any sound way, right? And it gives you such an advantage in life to be able to spot out logical fallacies, to understand them, and to prevent yourself from using them or implementing them. Number one, logic equates to intelligence. This is a common misunderstanding. Logic is a learned skill and not based solely on intellect. It can be developed with practice. So there's really no excuse. Of course, I didn't know much about logic until I was in debate. I basically just learned it via experience. Conclusion, logic is a fascinating and valuable tool for understanding the world and making sound decisions. By learning to identify common fallacies and thinking critically, you can communicate more effectively and approach problems with a clear and analytical mind. Logic is arguably one of the most important things to learn and understand, as it applies to almost every aspect of life and decision making. Now, I know that was a bit like schooly, it's like I kept it really simple, but just to address this, like, all you bring up is fallacies. If I have to constantly bring up fallacies during an entire debate, you're doing terrible. Like, if you can point out where I misuse the fallacy, that'd be cool, but they never can. So if someone gets really frustrated that you call out fallacies, you just have to persevere through it. If they keep using fallacies, you have to keep calling them out. Or what happens are people are allowed to run wild using fallacious reasoning. You'll never get to sound, reasonable conclusions. And then eventually, basically what ends up happening is you get gaslit and all kinds of crazy tactics drag you through the mud. Obfuscation, when you get red herrings and then they bring up something that's non sequitur, meaning non-sequential. It doesn't follow your actual point. They just drag you through the mud, and then they poison the well. Oh, these flat earthers. Or they shift the burden of proof. They appeal to emotion, right? They make it look like they're responding. They strawman you very tactically and deceptively. They change things and omit just right. And you have to you have to equip yourself with logic, and this extends far beyond trying to convince someone that the earth is a stationary topographical plane, far beyond any type of debate. This is just a valuable asset so that you can actually have confidence in your understandings that you come to. And of course, this would go even deeper. Logic, logos, order, the word, seemingly vibrational resonance, the word actually put this entire place here. The natural order of things is incredibly important. Logic is the natural order. Everything is logical and naturally finds its position in this order, which is, of course, only possible with intention and determination, i.e. creation. So this is of great importance. We were given the ability to logically deduce intrinsically, inherently, innately. Thus, you should definitely take some time and invest into wrapping your mind around logic. It gets pretty easy, especially if you just kind of implement it in everyday conversation. If we talk to someone, just be like, wait, technically that's fallacious, Fallacious means... Okay, so cool. Yeah, I'm sorry about the $20 thing. If you have good pattern recognition, logic comes naturally. That is very true. People should still familiarize themselves with some of the specifics, but I agree 100%. It's just like I've called fallacies out before I knew they existed. Yeah, like I'm like appeal to emotion because I just knew that logically your emotional rant can't be like you're doing this in place of presenting an argument. You're just appealing to emotion. And that is a fallacy. I said that before I even knew it was a fallacy. Because if you actually know, you can implement pattern recognition, then you will notice people are being fallacious. It's just common sense. Okay, now what we're going to do is cover another presentation. How double dog dare you? I'll chill with you guys for a sec, and I'm about to just go right back into another presentation. The chat's going crazy. I don't even know what's going on. There you go. That's better, I guess. Maybe if I did that and then that, or this and this. Whatever. It's like you guys can see the chat anyway. So, I'm trying to get to where it's going to integrate all the different chats. Knowing the fallacies makes everything so much clearer. Yeah, it's like super important for sure. Oh, during this little short intermission, I'll let you guys know. So basically the idea is that the shows will get better. I'll have them much more mapped out. Just so you know, we're not just going to be covering logic. We're going to be covering specific subjects. So my Monday and Wednesday shows are going to be like learning shows. They're going to be about stuff that's actually like intellectual. But it's of great importance to really kind of see the deception, to fully understand it, wrap your mind around it, and maybe begin to piece together some bigger pieces so that you can kind of understand maybe the nature of where you live, and maybe you can figure things out that some of us haven't been able to figure out yet. Anyway, so Tuesdays, I think I'm going to take a break. So it'll be Mondays, Wednesdays, and then Thursdays, I think it'll be like a tentative show, like an occasional show. I think we'll always do one Sunday or Thursday, probably every Sunday anyway. Either way, what I'm saying is I'll read off any letters I get in my P.O. box. I'm already behind. I have a few on Thursdays and or Sundays. Sundays will be Sunday morning. I haven't determined the time yet, but that's like Witsit's biscuits and gravy. And then Thursday, I think I'll just like ladle gravy. You know what I'm saying? Like just random topics. I know a lot of people like when I do that. I don't want it to just be shows. So anyway, you guys get it. I'll release the official calendar, trying to find a good one to do. You guys can get the calendar. We'll get the website done soon. Another announcement while we're taking a short intermission. I did a lot of stuff for NASA audits. I went through all the resumes and messages. Periodically do the resumes though, so I couldn't retain all of who was who and stuff like that, but I had to sift through tons of people spamming it, obviously trolling, certain people trying to pretend they're legit. Maybe a couple could get through, who knows. But if you sent messages through there, you should have got a response today to give you the next step to know what to do. I'm very particular about this not being open to everyone. But anyway, we have very professional parameters. In order to actually operate in official capacity at NASA audits, you'll have to sign an NDA. So, and the NDA specifically says that if you're lying about your identity, then you're open to like legal liability. Because I'm not playing with these anti-flat earthers trying to infiltrate and sabotage and leak information and set people up, and yeah, you get hit with that NDA, my dude. So I got that wrote up, got official bulletproof NDA written up. And I created all the different job descriptions. We broke it up. NASA audits will be run as an organization that has 10 different regions throughout the U.S. We'll integrate other space agencies from other places, of course, but it's primarily, of course, NASA, U.S., 10 regions. We'll have regional managers. We have a whole thing. So NASA audits is like popping off. We're going to have editors for the newsletter, for many things, social media. Editors is one of the positions that we're filling. So cool. We got like if you sent in, you can also personally message me on Telegram at Witsit. If I have no idea who you are, though, you won't be getting access because I know how the anti-flat earthers are, unfortunately. You should go. It doesn't matter. Some of them may end up getting through. They'll just be getting banned, and then we'll just change the link. So all that to say, they're already really trying to attack NASA audits, not just anti-flat earthers, but they are going hard on it. They're messing with the email thing. Who knows, but it didn't work. So anyway, it's super. We're gonna have it super professional, super legit, well-defined job descriptions, and NASA audits is going to be pretty epic. It's definitely going to be epic. So find your way to the private Telegram group, and then you will see many different topics and subcategories that we already have set up. All right, cool. Let's see what we got here. Rockfin. Been waiting on this one much. Adam, thank you for the $5 tip on Rockfin. Been waiting on this one much. What, to talk about logic? People wanted me to do like a whole show on logic. I'm like, okay. All right, so we're going to cover a bit of relativity. You guys have probably seen this. I hope everything's running smoothly. I don't know. I don't know. Looks like everything's running. All right. Let's move on to the next. Boom. Is the Earth moving? Oh, how dare you. I wonder if we should get a little background. Okay, there. Now there should be no echo. All right. You guys let me know if that's too loud or something because I can't hear it. We're just going to go ahead. So, is the Earth moving? Because I can't hear it. Well, who knows? How dare you? Look at that, dude. You guys think that's what's going on here? We just never can tell, just like we're perfectly still. Yeah, that's legit. Okay, well, let's see. Here's Einstein. The gift of fantasy has meant more to me than my talent for absorbing positive knowledge. I think this is funny. I'm not really trying to say too much about it. In the context, it has the illusion of being profound. I never made one of my discoveries through the process of rational thinking. I don't see how one could possibly not find that to be hilarious. Of course, all of his beliefs are logical. So, well, I'll get the audios coming through. I just don't know if you guys like it. Okay, so here is Mickelson Morley, which we kind of covered last week, but simply put, they had to say that we actually see what we would see on a stationary Earth when we're moving. And this is what we should see on a moving Earth right here. This one will be longer because it's separated. But they flipped it. They said that basically everything occurs as if we're stationary. Do you guys actually want the... do you guys want that audio? Actually, I should probably not play it anyway because like it'll start playing the next song. I don't know what it is. All right, anyway. You do like it? Okay, well. I don't know what's going to play next. That's the only problem. All right. So there you go. Now what they said was, of course, that time expands and slows down and matter contracts to save the heliocentric model. Here is Einstein. When I was thinking of this problem in my student years, I came to know the strange result of Mickelson's experiment. Soon, I came to the conclusion that our idea about the motion of the Earth with respect to the ether is incorrect. If we admit Mickelson's null result as a fact, this was the first path which led me to the special theory of relativity. Wait, what was the first path? The null result of Mickelson Morley's experiment. Very interesting. So that's what led him to special theory of relativity. Turn it off? Okay. Since then, I've come to believe that the motion of the Earth cannot be detected by any optical experiments, though the Earth is revolving around the sun. Interesting, Albert. And this is in this is how I created the theory of relativity at Kyoto University. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. You guys are giving me such conflicting answers. All right. While I was thinking of this problem in my student years, so that he thought of this long ago. This whole notion that like, oh, he didn't even know about it. This is just all ridiculous. Okay. Can you fix it? Fix what? Oh, the quotes are cut off on the side. Let me see. Oh yeah, I can fix it. What am I doing? How double dog dare you? Thank you guys for pointing that out. Yowzas. All right. Just follow your heart. Okay. It was really quiet. Yeah, I mean that's why I put it on there really quiet, but it doesn't matter. I can't hear it, so I can't give my opinion. We'll just no music. It's fine. Okay. So anyway, the point is that they have this talking point here. So for one, it says, since then I have come to believe that the motion of the earth cannot be detected by any optical experiment, though the earth is revolving around the sun. Many flat earthers, including I at one point, just took out, since then I've come to believe that the motion of the earth cannot be detected by any optical experiment, and anti-flat earthers, or whatever you call them, have tried to basically say that it was cherry picking because you left off the end that says, though the earth is revolving around the sun. Of course, it's not cherry picking, because cherry picking is where you make a claim that when read in context, the actual context contradicts your claim. Well, when we say even Einstein said that you can't use any optical experiment to detect the motion of the earth, then in context, even when it says though the earth is revolving around the sun at the end, it means exactly what we said. That means it's not cherry picking. That's not cherry picking. You guys don't even know what cherry picking is. Anyway, it's there right now, and it just gets funnier because he's saying, well, I've come to believe that the motion of the earth can't be detected by any optical experiment, though the earth is revolving around the sun. I basically believe it without any experimental evidence that can be verified. Okay, our point is he says it can't be verified. That's the actual point. Okay, which is hilarious. And the fact that you have to keep on repeating the same talking points should be pretty telling to you. Like, for example, they use the screenshot of me not having it on there. I've talked about it 15 times since then, always having this one where it does have it on there, but they keep on pretending that I just used the first one. It's because you're dishonest. And, you know, again, that's sophistry. We just covered it. The use of fallacious arguments with intention to deceive. All right, here's Einstein. To the question whether or not the motion of the earth in space can be made perceptible in terrestrial experiments. That's earthly experiments, any experiment on the earth. Dude said, but that's coming from German. Yeah, guess what it means in German? On the earth. It means experiments on the earth in German as well. Oh, well, this is coming from German, so what? That's what it means from German. It means on the earth. Why would you say that? Oh, you have intention to deceive again. We have already remarked in section 5 that all attempts of this nature led to a negative result. All attempts of this nature? Wait, what attempts? Attempts of what nature? Oh, attempts to detect the motion of the earth in terrestrial experiments? Huh. So all attempts of the nature of attempting to detect the motion of the earth in space on the earth have been negative results. Oh, okay. Before the theory of relativity was put forward, it was difficult to become reconciled to this negative result. So it was different to make it make sense that every single experiment on the earth you ever did attempting to detect the motion of the earth, you came up with no motion? So that must mean, using basic reading comprehension, that relativity fixed the problem. It reconciled it. Zoom out again. Is it messed up again? Oh, that one's actually, I think that one's different. I think that might be my PowerPoint itself. So, in a world in a world. I'm not really sure why it's doing that. So don't make it weird, bro. Sorry. Okay. Anyway. And here is your boy Einstein again. But when I was a student, I saw that experiments of this kind had already been made, in particular by your compatriot Mickelson. He proved that one does not notice anything on the earth that it moves, but that everything takes place on earth as if the earth is in a place of rest. Okay, now the reason that I'm starting this off with stuff I know you guys have actually seen is because this is the basic tenet that if anyone's new should really be paying attention to. What people don't understand is the current understanding of the heliocentric model, of the current globe model. You know, of course, that we're a ball that's tilted and we wobble, but you can't really tell that we're wobbling. It's really, really slow. And we're spinning on an axis, 15 degrees per hour, on a 23.4 degree tilted axis. So we're going 1,037 miles per hour east of the equator. And of course, the speed changes relative to north and south above the equator because it's getting smaller. Okay. And then this tilted, wobbling, rotating sphere is going around the sun in an elliptical orbit. So not a circle, right? But an elliptic orbit. And so we're changing direction. This is the official model, okay? We're changing direction, but the Earth's not changing direction. This is the official model. It's that, yeah, well, in orbit, in the elliptical orbit, the Earth changes direction, but it doesn't change direction. Reference frames. It's all relative. If the Earth is in an orbit, it's changing direction. Oh, well, no, it's relative. It doesn't change direction. There's something called a geodesic. Now, I will do a more in-depth stream where I'm going to break them down subject by subject because I don't want people to get lost, okay? But look, you have Newtonian mechanics, right? Here we go. Newtonian mechanics. An object that's in free fall will go straight down until another force acts upon it to knock it off that straight path. Right? Objects will continue in a straight path until an external force acts upon it. So an object in free fall, it falls until another force acts on it. Newtonian mechanics. And in fact, what it says is that there's something called a fixed background. So it says that space is a fixed background, okay? Meaning it's not going anywhere. It's just fixed. And this fixed background is just sitting there, and then this object's going to fall. Hey, you like that? I got hands, bro. So anyway, Einstein, fixed background. It's fixed. It sits there. It's fixed. Absolute. Objects fall straight down. They're going to continue straight down in a straight path until another force comes along, acts on it to be able to change it and knock it off that path. Okay. Einstein. This is what Einstein said, okay? Einstein said, there is no fixed background. There is no fixed reference frame. There is nothing to measure against. There is no absolute. There is no such thing as an absolute, okay? So there is no fixed background. So if Newton says fixed background of space, and Einstein says no fixed background of space, can they be the same thing? No. Now, many people, apologists for the heliocentric model stuff, they'll say Newtonian mechanics is basically the same thing as Einsteinian. Einstein didn't supersede Newton. All he did was build upon it. You can break the equations down to the same math. They're the same thing. We can use Newton. Newtonian mechanics works perfectly well for the vast majority of stuff that we do. We use it on the Earth. It works perfectly fine in the solar system. It works great. So we can just use Newton. We don't even need relativity. because they don't understand relativity. They can't defend it. They don't even comprehend it, much less know how to defend it. Okay, but they're not the same thing, because one says there's a fixed background of space and one says there's not a fixed background of space. These are contradictory claims. So can literally opposite claims be the same thing? Of course not. All right, let's move on. Remember, Newton said the object falls straight down unless a force acts upon it. This is what Einstein said. The object can appear as if it goes straight down, but it doesn't actually go straight down. It just goes in what's called a geodesic path. And due to the curvature and the bending and warping of space-time, this straight line path is actually curving like an orbit in space. So as it's falling, free falling down, it's actually not falling down in a straight line. It's falling down, curving, with no force acting upon it. Okay, so Newton says, fixed background of space, object will fall straight down, continuing a straight path unless another force comes and acts on it and changes it. Einstein says, no fixed background of space. Object that's quote-unquote falling straight down actually isn't falling straight down. It's curving in a geodesic of bending and warping, curved space-time, and so it will just curve without any force acting on it. So surely I hope that makes sense to you guys, because that is literally what it is. It's a very simple explanation. This is one of the few places you'll get someone just like straight up concisely deliver it to you. That's what it is, okay? All right, so now we move forward. There's more to it, and we'll cover this piece by piece because I want people to fully get it. But really wrap your mind around that. So Einstein's saying these objects in orbit are free falling, but they're curving, but no force is acting on it to make them curve. What? Now, this is antithetical to like all experience we've ever had, all empirical evidence ever, right? What are you talking about? Like what Newton says makes much more sense. If I drop an object straight down, it's going to go straight down unless, I don't know, if the wind blows really hard, it might make it not go straight down because there's another force acting on it. That makes sense. The object can go straight down, no force can act on it, and it's actually just going to look like it's going straight down, but it's actually curving a geodesic that free falls around a ball. And when this object goes straight down, actually what happens, according to Einstein, the Earth is accelerating up towards the pin. So from the pin's perspective, the Earth is accelerating up. And as this pin falls down and accelerates, there is no force acting on it. But you can think of gravity as a force, even though it's not a force. So we can teach children that it's a force. We can say this force holds you down to the globe. So grown men can run around the internet pretending that they have intellectual high ground, repeating an elementary misnomer that mass attracts mass and gravity is a force. They just want to teach it to children so that they can understand it in simple terms. And not just children, they do this in freshman year of college, right? So those are some basic differences that are very important to understand. And you might ask yourself, well, there's a few more differences that we should maybe cover. I'll go more in depth with the show with it's difficult to make whole presentations with all the complex things twice a week, but I'll do it. So anyway, Newton says that there must be an ether. Gravity can't be an innate property of matter. That's insane. And there has to be something acting between the objects. Must be God himself making gravity happen, but there has to be some type of medium acting on it. Einstein changes all this. So you may ask yourself, what caused Einstein to do this? Because he says, again, that an object free falls, curving, and so they claim that orbits are objects free falling while simultaneously changing direction with no force acting on it, and then perpetually free falling in an orbit. This defies physics. This is physically impossible. Their orbital mechanics claim is literally impossible. Now, people, out of uncomfortableness, what they'll do is they'll have nervous laughter right now. They'll mock me, scoff at me, right? They'll mock me, scoff at me, whatever. You can't rebut what I just said, though. You have a brilliant mind and enjoy listening to your discoveries. God bless. Thank you, Jeff Conkle, for the $20 super chat and the kind words, brother. Much love. Thank you so much. You can't have an object free falling, changing angular direction perpetually at the same time simultaneously with no force. It's insane. Orbital mechanics is a joke. Then, of course, you just claim you don't have to worry about centrifugal force because it just happens to cancel out perfectly. And so we'll just ignore the fact that we don't have any physicality to actually take the brunt of the centrifugal force and the effect that would reciprocate and cause. But anyway, that's a different stream. So basically, there's a huge difference in the two situations. So you would ask yourself, why did this need to be done? Right? Like, why are we in such a situation where this needed to be done? Well, this is why. Okay? This quote is why. Why does it keep cutting things off? This is actually the answer. Because how do you explain that everything appears as if the Earth's at rest every time you do something, unless you can say, oh, well, it's always going to look that way? You definitely can't say there's an absolute frame of reference. If there's something absolute to compare it to, well, then what is it? Well, it looks like the Earth is the absolute, right? Well, no, you can say everything can appear to be absolute. Oh, I see the problem, by the way, my bad. So annoying. Okay. So anyway, yeah. So, but again, like he said, he proved that one does not notice anything on Earth that it moves, but that everything takes place on Earth as if the Earth is in a state of rest. So this is very important to understand. And specifically, Mickelson Morley showed them that the Earth wasn't moving. And so they had to say again that things contract, but you can never see it. That time expands and slows down, but you could never tell that it slows down. And then they try to pretend they have evidence for the fact that time slows down. They obviously don't. Time's conceptual. Space is conceptual. But we'll get more into that and break all that down in another time. I'm not going to just talk about all of it. I think people need visuals, unfortunately. But I do have another. I could show you another PowerPoint real fast. If you guys have any question about what I just said, maybe throw it in the Chizzy chat. Oh, that's so funny. Next level stuff, loving the gravy. What's up, Melodone? What's up, my brother? Back when education actually meant something. This is, time is literal, not conceptual. Our world is a clock. No, your world is not a clock. What are you talking about? The sky is the clock, and of course the sky is motion. It's so time is motion of the sky. So why don't you just say that? Why don't you just say sky's in rotation? Why do you call it time? What is time? Is time actually linear? Or is that a concept that we're like, oh, time points in an arrow that way so that you can meet me tomorrow at 8 o'clock and I can have a calendar? Like, time is circular. It's infinite. It's not even linear. Time is conceptual. In fact, time is the motion of the sky. But whatever, I get it. Passing, as we interpret it and experience it, exists. But time is not a physical entity. It cannot have physical properties. That is ridiculous. Objects in orbit need to travel fast enough so that centrifugal force matches the force created by gravity. I just said that. I literally just said that. That they claim that it just cancels out. Can you address the actual point, though? This guy is a recovering heliosexual, but he like follows all the flat earth shows I do. So what's really going on? But how does an object free fall while changing angular direction simultaneously to attain perpetual orbits without a force acting upon it. That defies physics. So I hope I'm not like lagging. Am I like lagging? Oh well, I can't find it. I'll tell you guys a couple more things then. Why not? So basically what has happened is all the evidence to show that the Earth is stationary, that it's at rest. You guys know I have the whole entire thing, geocentrist, or geocentrism. All people can say is that I cherry picked it or I took the quotes out of context, but I didn't. So why are they lying? Well, I'm just kind of glitching on my screen, but I don't think it is on YouTube, so it's fine. So it's pretty interesting, right? Like, anyway, what I'm telling you is I broke down the basic part of relativity, one of the parts, and it's like, why is that? It's because all the evidence showed that the Earth wasn't moving. And so this is what people will say. They will say, oh, well, Einstein knew the Earth was moving. Well, yeah, he believed it was moving, okay, but he didn't know it. And they'll bring up stellar aberration, and they'll bring up like the change in redshift. They'll bring up Foucault's pendulum and gyros still, right? Okay, so the person that actually, of course, discovered the effect that is used to calibrate and engineer ring laser gyros said it was a vortex in the ether, Sagnac. If the Earth is stationary, we still have rotation at 15 degrees per hour, roughly, because it's not actually exactly 15 degrees per hour, which is why it doesn't ever match 15 degrees per hour, because it's not actually 15 degrees per hour. That's why the gyro doesn't actually read that. But anyway, the Earth is speeding up and slowing down. We know the Earth is stationary, then that means that the stuff in the sky moves. So if there is movement, everyone knows that. Einstein knew that. Einstein also knew that stellar aberration, right? You must assume the Earth is moving to interpret that as an effect of the Earth revolving. And in fact, there are fundamental problems on its face with the assumption that it's caused by the Earth moving. And he goes on to explain they're trying to find an optical experiment or measurement on the Earth, or terrestrial experiment they can do on the Earth that would actually be able to verify that the Earth is orbiting, because when we have the ability to do it, it showed that it wasn't doing it. Now, if they knew for a fact that it was rotating, that would mean it has to be revolving. The Earth can't be rotating and revolving. So they wouldn't even have thought it was a possibility to say that the Earth is at rest or stationary, like Hendrik Lorentz, Albert Mickelson, Edward Morley, Albert Einstein, Arthur Eddington, Wolfgang Pauli. These people wouldn't even utter that it was possible that the Earth was stationary after Mickelson Morley if they knew for a fact that the only explanation for stuff like Foucault's pendulum was that the Earth is rotating. Then they would never have even entertained the idea that the Earth could be at rest, because it couldn't be at rest, because they've already proven that it's not at rest. But they didn't do that because they knew that the sky would be rotating around a stationary Earth. And what it is that would be able to differentiate and show you which is which is if you can detect the Earth supposedly orbiting the sun. Because if the Earth is just sitting there rotating, you can't explain the sky, you can't explain the stars, you can't explain the seasons, you can't explain what happens in the sky. Okay? You can't actually make the model work with the Earth just sitting there rotating. You need it to rotate and revolve around the sun. So they're trying to explain it and figure out if it actually is revolving around the sun, which means when they say that the Earth could be at rest and that the Earth at rest is an equally valid reference frame and coordinate system, and that the Earth could have been at rest after all, they don't mean at rest but spinning. Okay, that's not what it means. Something is not at rest if it's spinning. Oh, they just mean the motion of the Earth in space in the orbit. No, they said at rest. So anyway, long story short, all the physicists, including Einstein back then, they found out like, oh man, the Earth could be stationary after all. We must come up with a new form of physics to explain it. And now, ironically, that exact form of physics has been debunked. It's been debunked. It doesn't work on the quantum scale, the cosmological scale. It doesn't even work on the solar system scale with Mercury's perihelion shift called Mercury's anomaly. And that's another part of it too, right? They try to say that Newton and relativity are the same. It's because they can just say mass attracts mass. Like they can remember those words, and it's just like Newton didn't even give an explanation, so they don't have to be smart enough to understand an actual like in-depth explanation of a dynamic force or anything. They can just say mass attracts mass over and over. So that's why they say that, because that's all they can understand. And I'm not trying to be ugly. I'm being honest. Like, that's why people still say mass attracting mass in Newtonian mechanics, because it's like that's all they can understand. They can't truly understand Einstein. It's because Einstein's ununderstandable, by the way. Like, his actual paper is not understandable. It's intrinsically paradoxical, contradictory, self-refuting. There are no paradoxes in nature. So, it's wrong. It has to be wrong. But anyway, like there are no dualities of a singular nature in nature. Like, how could I even say that without you knowing that it doesn't work? Dualities of a single nature? What does that mean? Like a wave particle duality? Wrong. Has to be wrong. That can't be what it really is. Anyway, so the point is that mass attracting mass is wrong. But when they say that, you can just say, oh, okay, then if it's the same thing and it breaks down to exactly Newton's math, then how come Newton and Einstein have different predictions for Mercury? Okay, then they can't be the same thing, right? Duh. Okay, so long story short, man, the reason that they don't teach you about relativity at a young age, or even really in certain parts of college, is because if they were going to teach you correctly, they would say, there's something called length contraction that was discovered during Mickelson Morley, which they'll never teach you this. They'll say Mickelson Morley debunked the ether and Einstein just coincidentally used the contraction. You have grown men running around talking about it didn't have anything to do with it, except the math works perfectly, and that's actually how Lorentz came up with the Lorentz contraction math applied to Mickelson Morley itself. That's how he did the math that ended up saving the heliocentric model from Mickelson Morley, absorbed by Einstein, the exact math. Like, you remember whenever I talked to that professor of physics, Bryant Myers, and he was mocking me about how I was so stupid. It's just like him and FTFE or whoever, Fight the Tight Shirt, whatever his name is. Like, they were like, it's like the 1/500th the width of a human hair. That would never account for it. You're so stupid, Witsit. I did the math, blah, 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 blah. Do you know the equation? I'm like, the equation, literally, it was made for that. That's what it is. It's the exact number needed to explain why the light wasn't behind the other light it was perpendicular to if the Earth was actually moving away from the light. It should have showed a fringe shift. That exact number that was missing is what the contraction is, right? The apparatus supposedly contracted, so it made everything go away, and as if the Earth wasn't moving even though it was actually stationary. And then what do? They end up finding out I'm right like 2 weeks later, after just mocking me, ridiculing. I have all kinds of screenshots of all of them too. I was really just Bryant. I was taking screenshots of Bryant because just like you're a physics professor and you're being very arrogant and you're just wrong. So I'm just like taking the screenshots, and then they admit they're wrong and they just walk right past it. But I guess my point is that, with all that said, this is the point. They would have to teach you that there's something called Lorentz contraction, length contraction, that matter contracts in the direction of motion. Like, technically, that just contracted. Now, it's not going relativistic speed, so it wouldn't be any noticeable amount. It'd be negligible, but technically, everything in motion contracts, which would be a physical necessitation of relativity. If something's moving, it's contracting in the direction that it's moving. And if something begins to go to relativistic speeds, then it contracts significantly. And if you get... Now, listen to this. This is Einstein E equals mc squared, right? If you got to a great enough speed towards the speed of light, then the object would keep contracting, right? You see it's contracting. It's going to keep contracting. Now it's gone, right? As you go faster and faster towards the speed of light, the object keeps contracting. So what's going to happen? If it keeps contracting and getting smaller, what's going to happen? Eventually it's going to cease to exist as it gets towards the speed of light. Now, of course, they say matter or no information can go faster than the speed of light, so it would cease to exist before it got faster than the speed of light, because it can't go faster than the speed of light. At the same time, they claim E equals mc squared, which is, of course, if you have set amount of energy, then as the speed increases, the mass has to increase exponentially. So, because it's mc squared. So they say that the matter is going to contract and contract and contract, get smaller and smaller and shorter as it gets faster towards the speed of light. But actually, as it gets faster towards the speed of light, the mass expands proportion or exponentially. So at the same, this is why the heliocentric model is so stupid, dude. Relativity says, and because it has to explain Mickelson Morley, it says, dude, that objects get shorter as they move towards light speed. But as they get closer and closer to light speed, they keep getting shorter to where they would just disappear. At the same time, the mass is actually getting shorter and contracting, but somehow also getting exponentially bigger as it gets closer to the speed of light. This is the actual is for rest mass. How is rest mass times the speed of light? The implication of the claim in the equation based on the physics theory that is relativity is that if an object approaches the speed of light, its mass has to expand. It has to get bigger. So basically, relativity is fundamentally paradoxical, claiming that it contracts and expands as it gets closer. I cannot imagine either. Yeah, they're both hilariously stupid, made-up pseudoscience, but the point is, and there is something called contraction, right? And like Oliver Heaviside showed this, when you show currents, when you send currents in a wire in a certain direction, you can actually see that the wires can suffer from contraction. And that's where they got the whole idea, like a real physical phenomena, because like, of course, it's electricity interacting with matter and what actually is all that. But anyway, dude, by the way, I just want you to know, if you just like keep spamming all caps, just saying that I don't understand something without like any intelligible response, then like you'll get put in timeout, bro. Just like, no, none of the mods do it. I'll do it. Okay. And this is what's so funny. They don't get that they're different. They're like, it's like, I don't want to be ugly, but they're like children. They don't comprehend it. But you can comprehend it. You at home, like the audience, you can comprehend it. I'm breaking it down to you in ways that you can comprehend it, okay? They don't want to comprehend it, so they can't comprehend it, and they would never swallow the pride to be like, this flat earther's teaching me, or whatever. But I'm not claiming to know all things, but I'm telling you the truth, okay? Einsteinian and Newtonian mechanics are fundamentally different. They're fundamentally different. Now, can you solve for his equations and get them to break down to get you the same value as Newton? Yes, on like lower speed, lower velocities, and lower energy levels. But the point is that the actual conceptual theory is fundamentally different. It's in fact contradictory. Einstein says no fixed background of space. Newton says fixed background of space. Newton says that objects in free fall will fall straight down unless a force acts upon them. Einstein claims that objects that fall straight down aren't falling straight down in a straight path. They're falling in what's called a geodesic, which could just be curved, following the curved path within the bending and warping of space-time. That's called a geodesic. So as it free falls, it changes angular direction at the same time with no force acting upon it. These are fundamentally different things. And then as you get closer to higher velocities and energy levels, then you have significant differences that will eventually emerge. Of course, gravity being an emergent property of the bending and warping of space-time, according to Einstein. So you have a difference in Mercury's precession when it comes to Einsteinian's math prediction and Newtonian's math prediction. Now, if they're the same thing, then why would Newtonian give you one prediction for Mercury's orbit or precession specifically, and then Einsteinian give you a different prediction? Because they're different. They are fundamentally different, just even in the terms of physics. So math itself doesn't mean anything. I could show you one math equation and give you 1,000 interpretations of the equation. And this is what people don't understand. But it's okay, because they need to just keep repeating mass attracting mass, because that's just like the dumbed down propaganda that they told people to brainwash them. And if you actually read Joseph Goebbels, who was in charge of the Nazi regime's propaganda department, he says what you do is you create very short, easy to remember, dumbed down phrases. You give it to the people, and then you just repeat it, and you have them constantly repeat it. Mass attracts mass. Mass attracts mass. Mass attracts mass. Okay? And you tell them mass is the amount of matter. So they're like, oh, Everything attracts everything. Matter attracts matter. Mass attracts mass. Mass attracts mass. And you tell them that, like, you give it to them and tell them that it's like this really profound, intelligent thing. So then they think they can go be smart. They're like, mass attracts mass. And if you can show them this like simple little equation, right? Like G M1 M2 over R. Oh my gosh. Like if you can just teach them like this basic equation and tell them this is gravity. And then tell them mass attracting mass over and over, then they won't be able to get past that. They'll be legitimately and successfully propagandized. And that's what happened with this. But now, behind the curtains, behind the Wizard of Oz curtains, that is a pseudoscientific paradigm of heliocentrism that is shrouded in the false cloak that is relativity, right? It's much more complicated than this mass attracting mass thing. Mass attracting mass didn't work. And if Newton's gravity still worked, then after relativity was debunked on the quantum and cosmological scale, they would have just gone back to Newton. They can't go back to Newton. They didn't just go to Einstein because they got bored. They went to Einstein because they had to. Newtonian mechanics did not work. It still does not work. It still cannot work. And that is why they're now proposing modified Newtonian dynamics to try to replace relativity because they know it doesn't work. And they can't just go back to Newton. So they're modifying Newton. Okay? So, and of course, that just has implications too. If you go back to Newtonian mechanics, are you saying that gravity is an intrinsic, innate, and inherent property of matter? Simply put, matter itself has this inherent property that is gravity. Well, we know actually the only inherent property holding this matter together is electrostatics, which is 10 to the 36 power stronger than gravity claims to be, which has the same relationship. And you can show a mass-to-charge relationship. Mass-charge equivalence if you look at the fundamental physical constant of elementary charge. So what I've decided is, like, I know this is where I can lose people. And I don't want to do that. I did it anyway. I'm sorry. I don't want this show to be me kind of talking with all these complexities and start going kind of fast. I don't want to lose you guys. I want to make sure that it's like, that's why I was originally going to call it relatively simple. Relatively speaking, I like it. The Telegram voted speaking instead of simple. Barely. It won, so I went with speaking. But I want to keep it simple. I want to keep it very digestible and simple. So it's better for me to have visualization so that I can give it to you guys where it's very easy to convey. And we'll do it topic by topic. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Now, some people might be like, what's this matter? Water lays flat. Like I have no empirical measurements of the Earth actually flying through space. Long distance observations, mirror flash tests that require line of sight over many, many miles. Ground wave propagation, skywave propagation, long distance observations in infrared and without infrared. The lunar eclipse called a selenilion. We have a bunch of observations that just clearly don't allow the current globe model to be true. And people are like, well, why do we do all this? Because, for one, this is intellectually stimulating conversation that you should engage in, that you should partake in, because you should sharpen your sword and understand where this is going to end up leading you. Physics itself is going to lead you to the creator. That's true. And I don't have to slap you in the face with creation. I'm going to just drop breadcrumbs. And if you actually are honest and follow them, you have no choice but to end up where, why does everything have a quality that interconnects everything? Why is everything literally connected? Everything has the exact same properties. Why does everything seem to be different versions of the same thing? Why is there an all-encompassing background that gives energy to everything that exists? Why does everything seek equilibrium with this same quality? And everything's just trying to find its order, as if this place was made with a specific order that exists, and everything's just trying to find it. Why? Right? You're going to find out very quickly. This place is the center, and it was created, and it's very special and amazing. And if you keep going, then we can maybe put the pieces together about where we really live, just so we can help the children not be brainwashed. But my point is, these complexities do matter, because what's going to end up happening is a lot of people that come to the show aren't just going to be like the crazy anti-flat earther recovering heliosexual that's going crazy in all caps in the chat. Not just people that already discover the truth about the Earth, but just new people. And they need to know that, and maybe you can send this, I want this show to end up being where, like, episode 2 and 3 and 4 and on, you can send it to like your loved ones. It's going to be a PowerPoint really simply breaking down that, dude, the Earth is actually in the center. And all this alleged evidence that we're not isn't real evidence. It's in fact all the opposite. They bend and twist everything, and they have no evidence for it. So I think it's very important to understand these things just so you can fully understand like the history of the deception. You can break it down to other people. And once they see, oh, so they're not really taking the actual science and the empirical evidence for what it says. They're like twisting it. They're lying. It's like a religion. Once they see that, you'll wake them up. Dude, I love the whole complex idea of the toroidal fields and projections of light. Sun, at least, and what that means. Some of us understand the more complex side. Yeah, of course. It's not that I'm saying you guys don't understand it or anything. I'm saying I start talking very quickly, breezing through them. And I know it can be hard to follow. I don't want it to be like confusing. Second super chat. Did I miss the first one? Tyler432. Second super chat. Is the moon a reflection of Earth? I'll leave the possibility open, but the Earth would be drastically different than what we think right now, which I definitely leave that possibility open. I was never convinced by any of the videos I saw, but I did recently see one where he showed different projections seemingly match almost perfect in many of the continents. So I think it's possible. Yeah. Thank you, Tyler432, for the $10 super chat. You're doing great, kid. Live free. Ordy, thank you for the $20 tip on Rockfin. Much love. Thank you very much. Live free. And Sick With It. Donating to the cause. Hashtag audit NASA. Thank you for the $5 tip on Rockfin. Sick With It. And Nuba, $5 tip. Thank you for the $5 tip on Rockfin. It's greatly appreciated. Okay, cool. So basically, this is just the intro show. I didn't really have enough time to put everything together. Like a really complex subject, but you guys should definitely join Telegram. You can partake in polls in my Witsit streams channel. So there's not a chat. It's just me dropping stuff. You can also go to t.me/miswits. t.me/miswits, and that's an open chat. Anyway, in both of those, you can like partake in the polls, right? So I'll be like, what should next week's show be about? And you guys can help pick the topic. But yeah. All right, so I'm going to keep tonight's show short. It's the first, relatively speaking, but basically in conclusion, I think it's important to use logic, understand that when you beg the question, you're like, the Earth must be orbiting the sun. So even though the empirical evidence shows me that the Earth's not orbiting the sun, even though all tests show me that it's not, even when the test is more than 10 times sensitive enough, more sensitive than it needs to be to measure the Earth orbiting, but it doesn't. Whenever all the empirical evidence showed me that it doesn't. Whenever I'm like, oh, the Earth is actually a tiny speck of dust in an ever-expanding universe of nothingness, and it's just flying around randomly and chaotically, and it has no purpose or meaning. And then I look out and I see that the distant galaxies have a direct relationship with the position of the Earth, but I thought the Earth was just a tiny speck of dust in this ever-expanding sea of nothingness. That's Edwin Hubble, 1925, where they then come up with the idea that the universe is in an accelerative expansion, of course, meaning it's expanding, going faster and faster. It's accelerating, expanding in all directions, but there's no center. That's right. They say that there was a singular point, and everything expanded out from there in a big bang in all directions. So everything expanded from a single point in all directions, but there's no center. Profound. That's not stupid. It's profound. If you don't understand it, it's because it's profound, not because it's stupid or illogical and fundamentally fallacious. Yikes. And that's one of the biggest tricks is, I'm going to be kind of blunt here. Inept people misinterpret stupidity for profundity. Inept people misinterpret paradox for profundity. That's the quote I'm going to stamp. Yeah. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to change it one last time. Ineptitude misinterprets paradox for profundity. Write it down. And that's the problem. And basically my point is, like, you go back to like 1925, they see that they looked at the galaxies through their little telescopes that they can see back in time with. And do you think it's possible that maybe you're just seeing what's there in the sky right now? No, that's not possible. Okay, sorry. I didn't know. I'm seeing it in the sky right now. So I thought maybe it's possible that I'm seeing it in the sky right now, but you're letting me know that that's not possible. Profound. Anyway, so they looked out there and they saw that the galaxies, they were moving with a direct relationship to the Earth. Like, they were moving relative to Earth. Now, what they would say is that the distances of the galaxies were directly related to how fast they were moving in relation to the Earth. Okay. So the galaxies are moving like in a special way that's like specific to Earth. Why are they doing that? Why are these really distant galaxies far beyond any type of gravitational anything to do with the Earth in their model, right? Why is it all moving like it's like centered on the Earth? This is what they won't tell you, but I'll cut it straight to you, right? The galaxies, they basically like complete these rotations once a year. Okay? The galaxies. So in a geocentric position, the galaxies are just completing these beautiful cycles once a year. Oh, it's almost like the whole sky is a clock and it all has a cycle relative to us. And that's why everything's resetting every year. Now, if our year is flying around the sun, why did the galaxies care about that? They're just doing rotation. Just trust me. Now, of course, they will say that you'll be changing position based on what you see. But this is what's so interesting is when they noticed that the galaxies were moving in a way that was specific to Earth when it shouldn't have been, they didn't even for a second step back and be like, everything is moving specific to Earth. Maybe the Earth is the center. What did they do? They said, oh, the universe thus must be accelerating away from us in all directions and expanding into nothingness. And now they say that space that's expanding into nothingness is going faster than the speed of light, but that it doesn't violate relativity because it's just the space expanding, not the stuff in it. But if the stuff in it is being carried with the space, then it would also have to be going faster than the speed of light. No, it doesn't though. Just the space goes faster than the speed of light. And since space is basically nothing except for mathematical volume and dimensions, it doesn't have information. So since information isn't going faster than the speed of light, it doesn't violate relativity, but it has to be going faster than the speed of light at those alleged distances with what we see. And now you get into stuff like dark energy, and then of course the gravitational effects themselves needing dark matter. And then you get 84% of all matter in the universe is invisible dark matter. And then 96% of the entire universe is dark matter and dark energy combined. And they claim that, anyway, long story short, was they went out and they saw that everything was specific to the Earth. They're like, oh, well, the only logical thing to think is actually it looks like we're the center. All the observations show us we're the center. We tried to come up with a million ways to say we're 100% not the center. We had an entire model intricately mapped out saying we're not the center and this is how everything works. Then we had the evidence specifically show us everything that we would see if we were in the center. So then we just immediately changed it all without even for a second entertaining that we're in the center. We shifted over to everywhere in the universe looks like it's in the center, and that means it must be that the universe is accelerating, expanding away from me in all directions. Edwin Hubble, 1925. 1933, they discovered that there's only 1% of the mass predicted by relativity or even Newtonian mechanics, any gravity in 1933. That's dark matter. First discovered dark matter, Fritz Zwicky. And then you got 1955, Vera Rubin discovering dark matter by looking out and seeing that the galaxy is spinning and the outside is spinning the same as the inside, which should not be happening. The outside should not be spinning just as fast as the inside, which violates the laws of motion, right? Oh, there's just something else there called dark matter. There must be something there. So the point is that it's a religion. So we'll get into a lot of these specifics. The space is expanding faster than the matter with mass, less velocity. Dude. Space is expanding faster than the matter with mass. Less velocity. Wow. Okay. So when the space expands faster than the speed of light, does the planets and other pieces of matter and mass move with it, or does it just stay the same distance and only space itself expands? Because that would mean this stuff isn't expanding away from us. Always a pleasure discussing the truthful dynamics of our world. 100 much love, fam. Thank you. Question the Answers for being a miswit for 7 months. Check him out. What a legend. Space is becoming more spacey, don't you know? Yeah, I don't even feel bad for the people like lost in the sauce. Like, did you know that the edge of the universe, the edge of the visible universe, is 46 billion light years away, and that the diameter of the entire universe is 93 billion years? And that's right. That's 93 billion times 5.88 trillion miles. I promise you, that's how far it's away. But it's accelerating faster than the speed of light, and so I don't know what it's going to be tomorrow. It's constantly changing, but I promise that's it. And yeah, everything's expanding in all directions away from a singular point called the Big Bang, but there's no center, and it's always going to look like we're the center, but it's going to look like you're the center from everywhere, and then that would actually mean that everything is expanding away. I don't want to give some of this stuff away. I got some like pretty crazy reputations, but I'm going to be having a, so we can either talk to this, look, like you call it Flataholics Anonymous. Like he actually is just anonymous weirdo in the chat, right? So like, yeah, correct yourself and it's still stupid. So the point is, dude, and this is why I end up timing out, but I'll just ignore them. You don't have to time them out, it's fine. Just don't like spam all caps, get into personal insults and spamming all caps, you'll end up getting timed out. But I don't care if you think the Earth's a tilted, wobbling, spinning like ball in space just because like you're scared of not fitting in. That's okay. Welcome to Miswit Level 1, the Emperor. Hey, welcome to the Miswits. Welcome to the Miswits. So basically, what I'm trying to say is we have the conversation Friday with the PhD astronomer, and I'll ask him some more questions. Like, we're going to just have a chill, like, real conversation, not like someone hiding anonymously on the internet, contradicting themselves, but who they have nothing to hide or lose because, you know. You know what's going to be really funny is, like, when this movie goes viral and when a lot of this keeps getting out and a lot of bigger names come out and start saying it because we know it's going to happen here soon, they're just going to have to sit on the sideline. It's okay. I'm like, if you're new to this, you should learn about it before you make your decision. Okay, you need to calm down. This is what most of them can't do is calm down. So like they're frantically typing, frantically freaking out typing. They're not ever listening. They're never in a state of listening to really think about the situation. They're just like freaking out. Just sit back, calm down. It's okay. What I'm telling you is true. It's up to you to decide if you believe it or not. You're certainly allowed to believe it. But the vast majority of people do not know this stuff is what their decision is. They have no idea the history of how insane this is. Okay? And I'm accurately depicting it. I am still manning their position, but I'm also just critiquing it. So I'm not straw manning it, right? Like we just covered the straw man. Now, if you ask any of these people that like stalk us on the internet and stuff like that, if you ask them to still man flat Earth, they can't do it. Like they couldn't say it out loud. They couldn't. They would say there'd be no horizon on a flat Earth. The sunset wouldn't work on the flat Earth. You'd be able to see forever across the entire Earth if the Earth were flat. The sun would light up the entire Earth if it were flat. You would fall off the edge if it were flat. There would be no horizon. Like the sun would drastically change angular size, and that's the only way it could work if the Earth were flat. They'll just say everything that you can think of that's like provably not our position, and we've already objectively refuted. So my point is just don't be like that. Don't be like that guy, right? Like, hey, free ballin' bear, member for 1 month. Hey, that actually popped up. Welcome to Miswit Level 1. It said you're a member for 1 month. I guess, yeah, because you just became a member. That's cool. If they become members, it pops up. That's cool. Also, if you become a Patreon while we're on the stream, I think it's supposed to pop up and say Patreon as well. And then I'll be listing all the patrons across the thing like normal. I'll do something for the members, but Patreon gets exclusive. So, but I will do something for the members, for all the people that support with the Miswits too. But Patreon's going to get their names across the top, and I'll do something else for the members. I'm trying to set all this up and set NASA audits up, and then do all the presentations in between, and then trying to figure out how to launch like multiple businesses over on the side. Hopefully that works out, because something's got to give. And yeah, pretty much like trying to run all the shows, and then I'm also like constantly researching like so many different subjects that it's like kind of crazy. But the shows will get better is all I'm saying. You definitely want to keep an eye out for NASA audits, because it's about to get crazy. I'm about to officially be divvying out positions. I typed up all these positions. So if you can get to the private Telegram, then you can figure out like, oh, this position fits me best, or you can just like message me at Witsit. But what I really need, the first thing I really need is people to help me go through stuff like that, like the personal messages and what people are saying like they want to do or what they're good at. Like, help me. I need to boil down to a team of people I can trust their discernment, and help me like divvy out positions tentatively to other people. I need to put together a network, and I created also in the format for the organization that is NASA audits, like a board, and then everyone in the organization will vote, and then that voting result will go in front of the board, and then if there's ever a need for like a tiebreaker or a decision made, then it comes down to me, the president, right? And so that's the organization. Have it all typed up real professional, like so you need some volunteer help, Austin? Anyone that's willing to volunteer to help with NASA audits, yes, absolutely. Them ball boys are salty AF. Yeah, of course. I didn't start questioning anything until I got to about 25. Well, that's when your prefrontal cortex like finishes developing, and sometimes even later than that, right? So, are you strung out on Adderall? No. I don't do drugs, my brother. Why don't my comments show up on my other channel and my shadow ban? I don't even know about. You're crushing, bro. Thanks, man. You too, bro. Mellow Dome. I'll have to have you come on the show at some point. I'm trying to figure out, like, maybe that'll be like a Witsit's Biscuits and Gravy, but Mellow Dome, don't you stream on Sunday mornings? Are you in here? Can you tell me what time you stream on Sunday mornings? I'm taking Tuesdays off. And I'm not even going to be taking it off. I'm going to be working all day. But I take Saturdays off. That's Shabbat. So... but when I say I take Tuesday off, like I'm not going to stream on Tuesday unless like someone's like, hey, will you guest this show? Will you do this debate? I'll do that. But Tuesdays, I'm like, tomorrow I'm going to really work on NASA audits, for example. Like I can't stream every single day and put a lot of work into each stream. It's like insane. It's like not even possible. Thank you for all your knowledge and hard work. Oh, look, even the 6 month, dude, that's cool. The member chats pop up. That's dope. Thank you for all your knowledge and hard work. It is definitely appreciated. Much love to you, Kai, and baby girl. Thank you, Cat Lady, forever, and for being a miswhip for 6 months. Thank you for the kind words. Much love. I'll stream with you whenever, bro. Like, could you do like a Sunday morning? Or 9 a.m. Eastern. Oh, you already answered it? Yeah, that's maybe manageable. I haven't decided the time for Witsit's Biscuits and Gravy yet. But God, probably some people are like, I bought a bro, what are you doing? I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. It's like life gets crazy, man. Shout out to all the heliocentric atheists who can't see that they're in a religion. Hey, thank you for being a miswhip for 7 months. And I will always read your membership chats off. I was kind of waiting for it to pop up so I could read it and then say your name as it pops up, but it's kind of tripping. I'll figure out the $20 super chat thing. Let me see if I can figure it out right now. Nominal, thank you for being a miswhip for 7 months. What a legend. All right. What I want to do, the show's going to be really entertaining, though, because we're going to end up getting the ballers on, but obviously I'm going to be like full mod power, right? Like acting crazy, interrupting, muted. Like just blatant fallacies, muted. There's no like, you don't get like 2 minutes to rant, not addressing the point, fallacies, no, muted. You're happy to talk. I won't interrupt you. Unless you're being fallacious, dishonest, whatever. So we'll see if you guys can hang. Thank you for the earlier stream. I was finally able to enjoy live. Wes FE, yeah, no problem. $5 super chat. They're gonna be thank you for the super chat, brother. They're gonna be at like 9 Eastern, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The show will be at 9 Eastern. That's as early as I can go because I don't want to overlap Jaron. I had it set up though where the super chats, text to speech, and it says enabled. It says enabled. Why is it not? I'm so confused. It says it'll read out loud, but I mean, why are you lying? Why are you always lying? I don't know. I'll have to try to test it and figure it out. I think the donations for sure will work because I heard it reading, so there's something I'm missing. I'll have to look into it.
Hello, my name is Kimberly.
Did you hear that?
Hello, my name is Sally.
So that's what I had set up at first, Sally. So that's for donations. That's on Witsit.live. You can send donations, and it's supposed to send them through. But it's supposed to do it for the super chats as well. And for some reason, you guys should have heard that because it went through my desktop, right? But for some reason, the super chat, when I go over here to set up text to speech, it doesn't read anything. So I'm not sure why. I'll have to figure it out. I don't know. But oh well, we'll figure it out for the next one. I just assumed it would work, Glad to support such excellent work. Thank you for your time and knowledge. Thank you for being a Miswit for 5 months. Lisa, much love. Thank you so much. And yeah, thank you for supporting. Yeah, thank you for your time. Yeah, of course. My mic is picking up a lot of background like the AC or something. Then it would be the I guess it would be the computer. I don't really know what I can do about that at this exact moment. So. Can you guys hear that? Can you hear the background that much? That's crazy. In a world. Oh, I might at some point. I might have to it might be on the Witsit, the Witsit's Biscuits and Gravy stream. I might have to. Witsit is not a play. He just crushes a lot. Thank you for the $5 super chat, Don Trump. I might have to bring back the 2 to 4 minute freestyle sessions. Yeah. Casey Jacobson, thank you for the $20. You're a legend on Cash App. No, you're a legend, brother. Thank you for supporting. Thomas Yates, thank you for the $20 on Cash App. Casey, thank you for the generous donation, $100 on Cash App. Wow, Casey, thank you so much for one stream equals $100. Good stream. Thank you so much, brother. That's greatly appreciated. Very generous. Gavin, thank you for the $4 on Cash App. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Bars. You need to add a filter to that audio channel in OBS. How do you do that? Properties. Oh, there it is. Filters. What kind of filter am I supposed to add? I'll have to do it later. Edit filter, gain, noise suppression, noise gate. Welcome to Miswit Level 1, my Kamaj. Is that how you say that? Hey, welcome to the Miswits. Welcome to the Miswits. Noise gate? I don't know if noise gate would have really worked. I don't. Hey, noise gate did work. That's fire. I did not know that was in here. That should have removed the background right there. Which I, of course, could have turned up my noise gate on my mic, too. I'm tripping, but... Group freestyles. Yeah, like where you guys, like, type words in the chat. Wait, you guys tell me, is, like, can you still hear the background, like, AC sound? Because I don't see it picking up on the mic anymore, so I don't think you guys can hear it. And I put noise gate. The Earth's the center of what? Of everything that moves in the sky, bro. Don't make it weird. Is it under a dome? I don't know. It works? Nice. You can hear the background when you talk. Should I add another filter? I'll do a lot of this like some other time. Although you guys giving me immediate feedback is pretty good. So I can also add a noise suppression in a world. Can you guys still hear the... I don't know any of this stuff. Open threshold, closed threshold, attack time, hold time, release time. Like, give a brother a break. No AC. I don't hear it. Okay, cool. Only when you talk, but it's so quiet. Okay. Cool. We'll get there. I think it'll take us solid like 3 or 4 shows, and then we're just going to be like popping them out every week. They're going to be really dope, really smooth, high quality. I'll be used to running OBS. But I think OBS is way better, right? OBS is definitely way better than just like the bland StreamYard. Man, y'all hearing stuff? Add an expander too? Why? How would you know that you up in the end and you skip the beginning and Enoch were missing? Slay competition with a composition, but often they often the prophets for prophets like they pop in linen. I told you I would help my brother. Yeah, thank you, man. All right, cool. You guys definitely should NASA audits, bro. Get with it. I messaged a lot of people. I sent you the stuff. I'm trying to be real professional about it all, so that's very time consuming, but I'm doing it. I think I see a vision that's going to be so epic. I know if I put like really good energy into it and like really, we're like no BS standard. It's professional. It's professional. It's a business. It's a business that you're not getting paid to work at. You either go down in history as being a legend that helped with the epicness that will be NASA audits, or you don't. If at some point in the future we actually find some financial plan where money's coming in and I'm not just like literally spending tons of hours on it just for free and spending money out of my own pocket, like somehow money is brought in for whatever plan, which that's part of different positions. Happily, the money comes in and goes right back to pay people to go on certain audits, to pay people to be a secretary or whatever. But as of now, it's just like people on GP. That's good principle. So... yeah, but I think that if we all come together, it's like, oh, I'm pretty good at being a secretary. I'm available on these days. I can look through emails on these days. I can work. Oh, I used to work as a secretary and I can do it for these days or for 2 hours this day. And you have a bunch of people working together. You would have a network of people doing just epic things. Epic things. So yeah. I think it's very cool. We need to do it's gonna like they are going to be afraid of it. We'll probably end up getting attacked because it'll be so powerful with all these people working together, using their different like skills as like a team, as a unit. Like, dude, I'm already like so pumped about it because I'm like, I'm running it like it's a business as if I was making money, and it's all in and it's like super important because that's how much it means to me. And I know that Bob was like really like excited about it, like really excited about it. He was like, we're so proud of you. And he was like really excited about auditing NASA. So for him, you know. Streamlabs OBS is better than OBS in my opinion, but you have to pay. Does that a lot more stuff than broadcast software with OBS? This is Streamlabs for sure. All right, cool. Thank you guys for kicking it. Seek and speak truth unequivocally. This was relatively simple episode, or relatively speaking, episode 1. That's like I naturally want to say simple, but yeah, relatively speaking, episode 1. We'll have Schooling the Globers, episode 9? Episode 9, Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern. I'll be taking tomorrow off. That will be the official schedule as of now. And then Thursdays will just be like a surprise show. It'll probably be me, Ladle and Gravy, reading some letters, whatever I get in my P.O. box, reading them, just kind of chopping up with you guys. Maybe have a guest on Thursdays, depending on how it goes. Maybe if there's no guest, call-in show or something. But I'll still cover some gravy or something, because I know people like subjects that aren't just about the Earth all the time. I get it. I totally get it. I think that the Earth conversation is just so much gravy though that it's like very fun to talk about. Like there's so much to talk about. And then Saturday biscuits and gravy. So Witsit's biscuits and gravy, or Sunday, Saturday Shabbat. I may be doing like debate Saturday night or something, once the sun goes down and stuff like that. But Saturday is chill with the fam day, rest, chill with the fam. Sunday morning, then of course Glowbusters in the afternoon. And then I'll work on the Patreon thing. I don't think I can do like Sunday morning show at Glowbusters and then a Patreon only stream, but I'll figure something out for Patreon. But shout out to the Patrons that are just supporting me because they actually want to support what they like or it goes away. That's what the real ones do. All right, cool. I can provide process service, Austin. Yeah, you can message me personally at Witsit on Telegram. I can try to get through my emails, but there's a bunch of them. You can also just go to auditnasa.com, go down and fill in an application. I just say, it says we're accepting applicants. Just go down there and click on it. Dang, I missed it. Got some catching up to do. Much love, Witsit. Thank you, Doug. I don't want to missay your name, but Maurer. Doug Maurer, thank you for being a miswit for 7 months, bro. What a legend. Yeah, it's all good. You can go catch up, bro. You got this, bro. Yeah, bless. Stay well. Much love. Support what you like. Yeah, what he said. Sniper bullet spin relative to how they come out of the bullet and the people that shoot the longest distances in the world, so they don't account for Coriolis, but whatever. Just skip the Patreon stream, no biggie. Yeah, but I mean, you never know. Like, some people will be getting mad at me, bro. Okay. Much love, Witsit and Flat Earth fam. Yeah. Shout out Little Dancing Bear. Would love to hand them happiness. Okay, seek and speak truth unequivocally. The weak find contentment in the consensus of ignorance. I don't have a very good outro right now. I'm just messing around, and it's just okay. And I don't have. It'll be a while before I can get like new intro videos for each show with like a new song, but that's the plan. Anyway, things are looking up. Definitely get in while you can with Audit NASA, auditnasa.com, NASA Audits, NASAaudits.com as well. And yeah, cool stuff. It's going to be dope. I'm going to be working on that all day tomorrow. And of course, I guess I got to put stuff together for Skull and Globers tomorrow as well. Cool. So best place to reach me, Telegram at Witsit. I'll update all the contact information and everything here soon. Just trying to get everything done. There's just a lot. I feel like there's like 477 things on my list of things to do. But cool. All right. I love you guys. I'll catch up with you guys Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Or you can go to the Telegram chat, t.me/miswit. So I'm in there all the time. I'll be in there tomorrow and later today. Cool. All right, if you have any questions of where to find stuff or where you can find me, like going to the t.me/miswits is where you're going to have immediate answers to all your questions. There's a lot of legends in there that are going to immediately help you out. All right, cool. I think this is the right scene right here. I don't know how it's all going to work out. But anyway, till Wednesday, seek and speak truth unequivocally. Rose 777 3.0. Thanks, Austin. Hey, thank you, Rose. How are you not a mod? You must have you have 3 channels. Is that what? Boom. Mod. Okay. Obviously I love Rose. She's a legend. Maybe the purest soul in flat earth. All right. So Bum just got here. It's all good. You can rewind it. The shows will get better. Anyway, so you didn't miss like the best one. You can look at it like that. Yeah, seek and speak truth unequivocally for like the 4th time. The weak find contentment in the consensus of ignorance. So who cares what other people think, bro? I think most of you guys probably don't if you made it here, but there's really no purpose in even worrying about what other people think. It's the weak that need other people, to accept them. And what's popular is not true. What's true is not popular. So whenever they revile you for his name's sake or the truth's sake, tomato, tomato, rejoice, man. You know, they did all the prophets and truth speakers before you. That's how it goes. That's how you know you're doing something right. So yeah, just stand up for the truth regardless. Till next time, peace.
That's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Rappers acting steady high, steady simple pills. Glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big pharma set it up, had to flip the pills. Control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in the field. That's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Took the way you saw the world, then distorted it. Now you think you wanna rock that twirl somewhere orbiting. Theories disproportionate, the truth distorted quick with a forceful grip. They force a simple that we absorbing quick. Took the people's signature that mean extorted it. They forging it. If news anchors informant to informing them there's a surplus, but they tell us there are shortages. Credit economy mortgages, dollar that's supported with empty fortresses. But what's important is this: we courting ships, important gifts. Of course it is, but extortion is in accordance with an assortment list of foreign tricks. We ignoring which informant, disinforming this. It looked like we were snoring tricked. Pedophilia and the government endorsing it. Yeah, eugenics is exactly what abortion is. You just vilify those insubordinate. Way to matrix engineer, that's unfortunate. Geopolitically, we in a field. That's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Rappers acting say they high, say they simple pills. Glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big pharma set it up just to flip the pills. Control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in a field. That's for Israel. Wonder, is it real?